Part 13. The Reset. Sunday, July 24th, +1 NE. Chapter 44. I dreamt we were bank robbers. Marcus woke to the sound of a hollow thud. Without opening his eyes, he knew what had happened. A bird, flying free from the constraints of Earth, crashed into the large glass window of his parents' bedroom. During her lifetime, Marcus's mother insisted all fallen fowl be given final rites before being buried in the woods west of their home. More than once, while Marcus completed this macabre task, the trees filled with other birds. The somber spectators watched in silence as he entombed their friend, scattering once the deed was done. He'd lay this particular ill-fated creature to rest after breakfast, Marcus thought, rising from bed. Marcus's abdomen crackled like fire. His head vibrated like a badly beaten bell, and a deafening hum had hold of his hearing. Such were the usual physical distractions of life. But today was worse. He was fighting the evilest hangover ever despite abstaining from alcohol while talking with Anthony late into the night. Marcus staggered to the window and drew back the curtains. It was another beautiful blue sky day. Based on the sun's present position, it was just before noon. He could almost hear Anthony's voice reciting the Benjamin Franklin quote he used to wake Marcus up for high school. "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." It was a pithy little saying that stuck with Marcus no matter how much he wished to forget it. He inhaled slowly through his nose, picking up the faint scent of incense his father regularly burned in this room before his death. Their house, like the world he watched through the window, was peacefully silent. Marcus could smell the stale sweat and cannabis on his now 3-day-old wardrobe. He pocketed his lucky coin and descended both levels of zigzagging stairs to Anthony's area of the house. But his brother was nowhere to be found. He peeked out the front door to find Bucephalus still in the driveway. "Anthony?" Marcus's voice echoed throughout the house. There was no answer. Marcus searched the guest room in case Anthony accidentally passed out there, but it was also empty. Undeterred, he continued the hunt, room by room, eventually finding Anthony asleep on one of the living room couches in nothing but boxer briefs. That's out of character, since he always sleeps on the floor, Marcus thought. He must have hit the bottle hard last night. The tattoo across his brother's back stared Marcus in the face. No friend served me, no enemy wronged me, who I haven't fully repaid. He overdid it. "Anthony, wake up!" Marcus shouted over his shoulder, heading for the kitchen. "I know how much you love listening to dreams, but I had another crazy one last night. We were bank robbers. We were wearing 3-piece pinstripe suits and our faces were covered by those spooky ballistic masks the special forces wear, the ones that look like an X-ray outline of a skull. We both had tricked out short-barrel rifles, and you put these long strips of plastic explosive on the outside of the vault wall, then detonated them with an old silver pocket watch. It was so badass. It felt like a scene straight out of Heat." Anthony didn't reply. "Anthony!" Marcus returned to the living room. "Anthony!" Marcus clapped his hands. "Don't make me sing the song. Come on, get up!" "This isn't funny anymore." Marcus watched Anthony for any sign of movement, but nothing came. His older brother had a habit of feigning sleep to draw someone in, only to suddenly jump and scare them. But Marcus knew this was different. He could feel it. As he inched toward Anthony, the wooden floors squeaked under his weight, sending Marcus's pulse racing. He wiped beads of sweat from his brow. Time had slowed to a crawl. The light moved in blurry arcs, and the slightest sound was suddenly deafening. Marcus recognized the old, cold, familiar presence of death. "Anthony, get up!" Marcus ran to his brother's side and shook him. "Please get up. Anthony, please. Anthony. Anthony!" Marcus felt the side of his brother's neck for a pulse, but there was none. He checked for any sign of breathing, placing a finger under Anthony's nose and his other hand on Anthony's chest, but the body was motionless. Marcus squeezed Anthony's hand, hoping to get even the faintest squeeze back. But it never happened. His brother didn't feel like a person anymore. The hand was frigid, the fingers were stiff, and the skin was pale. Marcus moaned from his soul as he embraced the hollow shell that used to be his brother. "Anthony!" Not you two. Please, God, Anthony, don't leave. Please wake up. Anthony, wake up! Marcus refused to accept this reality. He needed help, he thought, pawing through each pocket for his phone but finding nothing. It must still be upstairs. He sprinted to his parents' room to retrieve his phone from the nightstand. Fighting against an adrenaline surge, he slowly and deliberately pressed each button. 9, 1, 1. He shoved the device to his ear and waited, and waited, and waited. Nothing happened. Stomping in place, he tried again, ensuring to dial each digit correctly. But his careful efforts resulted in the same outcome. Nothing. The small icon on the screen revealed the reason. Marcus had no network connection. In a fit of frustration, he heaved the device at the nearest wall, smashing it into oblivion. He raced back to Anthony's body, searching the couch for his brother's phone, but it wasn't there. Marcus was hyperventilating, paralyzed by an effervescent cocktail of emotions and stress chemicals. He couldn't do this alone. He couldn't do this alone, he kept telling himself over and over as he searched the rest of the house. He eventually found Anthony's device on the patio table between the cannabis pipe and an empty bottle of scotch. But it didn't have a connection either. This makes no sense. They always had reliable service here. Was the resort's tower offline? Was this part of a Federation attack? Marcus briefly entertained the idea, but dismissed it outright. It couldn't be. That didn't explain why he was still alive. He needed a landline to call for help. Jordan's parents still had one. Marcus sprinted through a grove of aspens to reach the Kilrabox home. He rang the doorbell and furiously banged on doors and windows, but no one answered. Marcus circled the house for a point of entry, improvising by smashing a decorative glass pane of the back patio door with a soccer ball-sized rock. He rushed into the kitchen and picked up the phone's receiver. The absence of a dial tone crushed his hopeful spirit. He frantically fingered the switch hook, trying to reset the connection, but no dial tone emerged. He slammed down the receiver, darting through the rest of the residence, searching for anyone or anything that could help. But every phone in the empty house was dead. Marcus tried all the neighboring homes, but no one answered. Each looked like it was vacant from the outside. Other than his crying, the world was completely silent. Gasping for air through heavy bouts of sobbing, he darted back to Anthony's side. He felt defeated as he knelt beside his brother's body. This was the same spot where he'd learned about his parents' death. The memory of that loss mixed with his present pain, triggering a new wave of uncontrollable grief. Without Anthony, he was truly alone in the world. Marcus did the only thing he could and clung to Anthony's corpse. The skin was even paler than before, a consequence of blood following gravity's command to pool on the left side of his brother's slowly decaying remains. Marcus tried to turn Anthony onto his back, but the body was too stiff to move. The attempted maneuver revealed his secret. Anthony had a piece of tech on the inside of his left wrist. This was the unit from the library. Had it killed Anthony? Marcus dismissed the thought as too conspiratorial. Knowing Anthony, a toxic mix of drug and alcohol was the more logical explanation. Marcus pulled the tech loose and held the honeycomb-shaped device between his thumb and forefinger. Curious about its contents, he placed the unit on the inside of his left wrist, sat on the ground with his back against Anthony's, and closed his eyes. Marcus had never lived someone else's tech experiences, so he was ill-prepared for the unorganized imagery that blasted him. Without the indexing of his own mind to sort and search the catalog, Anthony's memories flooded in all at once. A short triplet of scenes played in rapid succession, starting with Anthony's sideline POV during Marcus's fight at Nerio days earlier. Then it jumped to a perilous moment on a backcountry road in the Echo Basin during their grand tour, when Anthony almost drove them off a massive cliff. The triplet ended with their New Year's Eve party at Marcus and Jordan's house, hours before Zero Day officially began, and everyone experienced their disclosure moment. This last memory was painfully schizophrenic, like a feedback loop of consciousness forever folding in on itself with increasing intensity, and Marcus opened his eyes to stop the splitting headache it caused. Marcus's heart thrashed in his chest while his stomach churned violently, but the temptation to see what else Anthony had stored pushed him onward, and he closed his eyes a second time. The wind was instantly knocked out of him as he found himself sitting across from Diana in a coffee shop. She was glaring directly through him. This was the moment of confrontation both had told Marcus about. He was eager to see this firsthand, but the scene cut abruptly to another memory. It took Marcus a moment to realize where he was, in Antony's office at his company's headquarters. Like the other memory from Zero Day, this was insanely choppy and incomplete, but he could tell his brother had been lying face down on the floor when Heidi appeared. He stood up and faced her, but before she opened her mouth to speak, Marcus was catapulted to another set of memories. Marcus was looking back in time now, at a younger version of himself in the early teen years, as Antony begged him to give Garrett a try. He could hear fragments of Antony's thoughts bouncing around like he was in an echo chamber. The introspection was dark and full of doubt. This was the little monster Antony had described, and it was picking apart his ability to raise Marcus without further damage. The next three memories were crystal clear, but Marcus barreled through them haphazardly. In the first, Antony stood at the rostrum to the thunderous applause of graduates following his commencement speech. He was staring across the crowd at Marcus and their parents. In the second, their family pressed against a guardrail along a river highway to watch Atlantis make the final launch of the Space Shuttle program. Antony was holding Marcus on his shoulders. In the third, a toddler version of Marcus had just shit all over Antony at the Athenian Acropolis. Marcus opened his eyes again. They filled with tears of gratitude at his brother's generosity for storing these moments. But nothing could have prepared him for the last memory that awaited. Marcus closed his eyes for the final time, and was spontaneously transported to a hospital hallway. He felt Antony's heart pounding out of his chest as their father appeared through a cracked door on the other side of the corridor, smiling with misty eyes, and motioning for Antony to come into the room. When his brother passed over the threshold, the most intense sensation of joy Marcus had ever felt surged through Antony's body. It was pure pride and unbridled happiness at the sight of the newborn brother he longed for his entire life. Then the memory stopped. Marcus wasn't sure what others, if any, had been captured, or whether he'd be able to live each in greater detail if he gave it another try. But for the moment he was content. He felt connected again to Antony, despite the barrier created by their physical bodies, and cried tears of pain and joy. He found deep peace in the happy moments they'd shared, in the unbreakable bond of brotherhood. Then suddenly Marcus was ripped away from the comfort of his memories as Heidi's voice boomed from the sky.
Good afternoon, citizens. Today we grieve as a community, but we also begin the next and most exciting chapter in your collective progress and integration with the Federation. Stand proud, because you represent the best your form has produced for this material world during this monumental moment. You are the chosen, who have survived the reset to face the Confederation. Those who have ascended sacrificed their lives on this side of the veil so that you can continue here. And you will be asked to sacrifice here so they may continue there. You are safe, so remain calm and shelter in place while we prepare the Ascended for their final rites. Because together, we are reborn.
It was 1:00 p.m. Marcus wasn't supposed to hear Heidi from inside his house. This was a private space. Marcus's heart raged. Jordan had been right. The Federation was attacking. The heroic code across Antony's back spoke volumes about what he needed to do next. Marcus strapped Invictus to his back, then paused to kiss his brother's forehead one last time before heading to Bucephalus. He was going to find Brad and make him pay.